Come on, Spider. Hup. Yep, get up. Well, hello, you guys, and welcome to Dog Hugs. We are so happy to see you today. Look at Spider. We had a nice long walk this morning. You know, it's been 2 months since quarantine, and you may have noticed that Spider's training is falling apart a little bit. He gets really noisy, and I'm very excited that we're going to have with us Spider. You're stepping on your lines, buddy. Good boy. Have a seat. Yes. Good boy. Yes. So I'm going to get Spider busy with his busy box. And you've probably seen this before if you've seen the show. Quiet, buddy. These towels have treats in them that are wrapped tighter and tighter. And we're going from the laundry lounge over to the studio. And now, back up, Spider. Come on up here. Good boy. Good buddy. Sit. Wait there. Good wait. So we're making it harder and harder. Wait there. Good wait. We're making it harder and harder for him to get the treats. And so what I'd like you to do is time how long it is that Spider is off camera and let us know when he's back. All right, come here, buddy. Come here. You got to go back up on here first. All right, I give up. We'll get more to that tomorrow. What I'm excited about is that you're going to see Geraldine Chata with us more and more on the show. Geraldine, it is great to see you.
Great to see you.
I am so excited that you're going to help me live on the show with Spider. And then also, let's tease tomorrow's show. We've got Ask the Dog Trainer. And for you folks who don't know Geraldine, she's one of the most phenomenal trainers and behaviorists in the country. So we're really fortunate to have her on the show. And please bring your stump the band kind of questions to us.
Yes, because everyone has questions and everyone has issues right now. I see very few people that are issueless, I'll just say.
That's an excellent point. This is a time where there are setbacks. Our routine is different. And I'm experiencing, and maybe you guys are too at home, challenging feelings are sometimes getting in my way. I can't wait to introduce you to our guest today. We're going to bring her on a little bit, Edie Nathan. She is one of the most empowering people on the planet when we're dealing with big setbacks like COVID. And I can't wait for you guys to meet Edie Nathan. Yeah. Let's bring Robbie onto the scene. Robbie, hello. And who's there with you? Hello.
We have Atlas with us again. He makes the occasional appearance. Right now he's eating some snacks, so he's pretty happy. And I know he's been looking for the dogs. He was waving for a little while earlier.
That's great.
Look at the puppy.
Here's mine.
Oh, look at that.
It's raining here right now, so mine's all full of mud. He's not coming upstairs yet today.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a puppy.
Yeah.
So hi, Atlas. So here's a puppy for you.
Oh, look how cute.
Robbie, share with the folks what's going on in our pet calendar.
Well, May is National Chip Your Pet Month, and I was telling you guys earlier that unfortunately I've not been great with chipping my pets, but Hazel, my 1-year-old poodle, I got her chipped when she went to one of her first vet visits because I feel like she's more of a flight risk than any pet I've ever had because she's so fearful. You never know if she's going to slip her collar just because of the way she is on a leash.
So if you folks don't know what chip your pet means, here's a little video to give you some ideas. So you'll see this is about inserting a little microchip right under the dog's skin, and then it can be scanned and you get a tracking number that hooks up to a database. So you see, simply insert it. It's painless.
I was going to say it's like the size of a piece of rice.
Yeah.
Correct.
But oh, I'll wait till the video's over. Look at the dog.
But we thank Orphans again for allowing us to make that film and really enjoy it.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
The important thing to remember is when you get your pet chipped, go online and fill out your profile. My vet said that they chip so many and only like 30% actually go online. The people believe that because their pet is chipped, that it's automatically going to show up, but you've got to put your own phone number, address, any kind of contact information, and a lot of pet parents don't. That is so important.
And you need to update it too.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Update it too when you move or change your phone number, because people change addresses, phone numbers a few times in over the course of owning that pet sometimes. So don't forget to update your information.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I wanted to mention really strongly that I have actually found 3 of my own personal dogs because of the chip. They were found faster. Just because your dog is trained doesn't mean your dog might not slip out the door or chase a squirrel and end up right in maybe even animal control's man. So make sure that you chip.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Reminder. Yeah. So let's see what's going on with the chat. Well, hello, Yolanda from Mexico City. Great to see you again today.
Hi, Yolanda.
So let's see how Spider is doing. And reminding me, he's digging way into that box. Looks like he's doing pretty well here. So I hope you guys are keeping track of the time somewhere in the audience. That'll be great. All right. Let's bring on today's guest. All right. Our special guest today is Edie Nathan. She's been on NBC, CBS News, Psychology Today. Now, when our society is going through times of trouble like COVID, is that lines up from right where we are. And she understands what the heck is going on and helps us to understand what the heck is going on so we can rise up. Now, she's the author of It's Grief, the dance of self-discovery through trauma and loss. And it is time to welcome Edie Nathan. Hello, Edie.
Hi, everybody.
It's so great to have you today. Yes.
It's
now,
good to be here.
Yeah, you have today with you Ziggy. Tell us about
Ziggy. Well, Ziggy is a rescue. We got him about 3.5 years ago, on 2017, January 23rd. And he was 3 months old, and he is just smart. He's part beagle, part boxer, and he's got anxiety, which is always interesting to deal with. But he's a lover boy, so that's
yeah, he sure looks like it. Yeah. Now, Edie, one thing I forgot to mention to the folks is how we know each other is through heroic public speaking.
Yay!
Part of our mantra is to save the world one speech at a time. And you truly do that when you go out and, give this kind of comfort and aid to folks when they're in times of challenge. Now, we talked about how originally you wanted to adopt Ziggy because you were going through a challenge.
Yes, and that's so true. So the reason I know the date so well, because I'm really not a date girl, is because a week prior to getting our beautiful Ziggy, my father died and our last cat died. And I knew that I needed a grief dog to help help cultivate and hold my grief. And he was just that. And I walked with him and we hung out together, and he was my savior. He was very, very much a savior for what I was going through.
Yes.
And, being a grief therapist, one of the things that is so important in the message and in what this animal did is you can't do it alone. And maybe it's with your animal, and maybe it's with a human, but never think that you can do this alone. It's a journey that can often take many.
Yes, really well said. I love that none of us does that alone. We're more together.
More together.
Yeah.
And too often we think, oh, well, I'm gonna be brave, and I'm gonna be strong, and I'm not gonna share anything that's going on with me. And the reality is that maybe it takes more strength to say, I need help.
Beautifully said.
Mhm.
Among men, there's that myth, being the Lone Ranger,
Yeah.
being that macho guy who can just carry all of that.
Mm.
And grief is an unsafe emotion for men. Sadness seems unsafe in public. And I love hearing you say how it takes more courage to be able to reach out.
Yeah, it totally does. And to have a voice around it, and to be able to identify and verbalize what's going on. And in a way, it's like to be able to name, Ziggy may have had trauma and he is vulnerable and he's got anxiety. Well, he can't speak, but I can feel it and I can notice it. And so it's kind of in a dog's world. It's like, as humans, we need to notice. We need, right.
Tell us about what you discovered in Ziggy once you adopted him, and I know, Geraldine, you've got some insight here as well.
Oh, Geraldine, we could use your help.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing a little more about him. So anything that you can share about his history, I would love to hear, because I already have been taking notes as you see me looking down writing.
Yes.
Because I'll have some really great things to share during the show, but also after the show. I'll give you some tips and some hints that I think will help start bringing some things that have happened full circle, so you'll have a better understanding, and then you have a different approach to how to remedy those things that maybe. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about his background, because that's
so
really
I don't really
important.
know very much. We know almost nothing. We know that he was about 4 months when we got him. We know that he came to New York, to the North Shore Animal League via Virginia. And that is about it. What I can also tell you, though, is that there were some scars on him that I don't understand. It's, he was certainly neutered when we got him, but there are scars under his belly. There are scars, like almost a disfigurement around his hind legs. And, it's just, we walk him and he hears noises and he freaks out. There are certain trucks he reacts to. He's very responsive to. And as smart as he is as terrified of the world of his shadow.
Wow. And he's been this way for the last 3 plus years that you've had him?
Yes. And we've tried him on human. So he's been on Prozac. He's been on a lot of different medications. None of them worked. He's now taking CBD oil, and that seems to have helped him remarkably.
Take the edge off. Takes the edge off a little bit for them.
Yeah.
Well, what I can offer, first of all, is I do believe you have the best of worlds for him, and also you bring, because of being a grief counselor, depending on what you're working on at the moment, when you come home, when you walk in your door, or now that you're working from home, sometimes you don't get that chance to have that space in between work and home where you can kind of check your vibe and shake it off. And it's something that all counselors deal with. All of them, including dog trainers. I know dog trainers and behaviorists that will call me and say, man, that was the toughest client I ever had to work with. And I know it was all psychological, and I really am not quite sure how to help them. And it's upsetting me because I'm becoming empathetic instead of compassionate. And now we're both a mess. And now I can't help the dog. So So I understand that a lot of people that are offering help to others, especially when it comes to grief, because we can have a whole conversation around grief. It's one of the topics I love to discuss for the reason that we all experience grief and pets experience grief. I'm going to assume that Ziggy, when he went through some of his fear periods, he grieved as well. I think around 2017, didn't we have a hurricane? So he might have been part of the hurricane rescue, which meant he was taken from his mom too young. He therefore didn't get the skills instilled in him properly. And somebody who was probably fostering him might have hugged him too much or might have been very fearful as well. So it kind of imprinted him with more fear. So it was people fear on top of dog fear. And then he walked into your life and you have such a wonderful place for him, but he's walking around going, but she feels fearful too. So, and he's a beagle and a boxer mix, and they're very loyal to their owners, and they're also very driven in certain ways. So maybe some of his needs aren't being met instinctually. So therefore he's taking over the job of protecting you and wants to know how to do it, but isn't sure. And he can't ask. He has no words to ask. Right. So some of the things you're seeing are him feeling his way. You might give him a mixed message that day, but he goes with what feels best at the moment. And sometimes that's to be next to you, and sometimes that's to hide. No reflection on you. It's reflection on all the trauma that happened before and what's triggering him now that was from the past that maybe has nothing to do with you, but he might also smell a sad day on you and be like, I remember that smell. Or he hears that truck, and that was the truck that drove them to New York. So I think there's some ways to demote him from what his job, he thinks his job is now, and then re-promote him similar as what we're doing with Spider, because Spider's had some trauma and Spider has a great house now. So it's a matter of how to lead properly. And both of you guys are leaders. You lead people through trauma in many different ways, even if you don't want to label it as trauma. You lead them through situations. So I do believe that there's some tools I can give you as a dog mom to help with that. But I see the connection. I see why you ended up with him. Like I see the beauty in the relationship, and I think I can help a lot.
Oh, that
bring more.
Edie, your work. Thank you so much for that, Geraldine. And Edie, your work on grief and loss for humans and how it relates to COVID and pets. I know you offer folks a lot of comfort and tools and understanding at this time.
So yeah, I'm a big Jungian fan, and the collective of all of us on a journey. And having an animal is being on a journey for sure, and being in grief is a journey. And Joseph Campbell speaks about the hero's journey, and we start out as an ordinary person, and then something happens, and it's happening to all of us, like COVID. Yes. And we enter into the darkness of the cave, and that darkness for Ziggy has been his anxiety. The darkness maybe for all of us is, what do we do in isolation? And we come out forever changed. And so though we talk about a new normal, I actually like to think of it as a new ordinary. And what is our new ordinary going to look like as we are forever changed?
Great way to say that.
What are some things that you offer for folks? I know you've got this wonderful on your website, and perhaps Robbie is posting links to your website right now with the wonderful, all these great tips that you have there. Can you share some of those with us right now?
Sure. So, one of the things that happens is our brains throughout this time go into a fog, and that fog, it's like we're not even aware of it, but we can't find words, or we can't find the right socks, or we're agitated with our partners or even with our friends. So to slow yourself down, take a breath. Now, I know that breathing, take a breath sounds overrated, but actually we are shallow breathers. And, so to actually take in 3 good deep breaths gives a lot of oxygen to the brain.
Some people don't breathe at all.
No, they don't. They're not breathing in a way that oxygenates the brain and the body. Yeah.
And it helps with the fight or flight response too. It's a big fight or flight response. So when you take a big deep breath, it's giving yourself enough oxygen that your body doesn't jump into an adrenaline mode.
And when you jump into that adrenaline mode, then the message is, I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Wow.
So the
right
best advice around that is hold your breath. What? I'm going to hold my breath when I'm saying I can't breathe? Well, guess what? If you can hold your breath, you're breathing. And then you're giving a message to your brain and all of those neural impulses and saying, I can breathe. Of course I can breathe. And then you let it go. Let it go. So that's one thing. The other thing is that because we're so Zoomified and we're online all the time, Zoomified, made up word, whatever, we're not taking breaks. And in our normal workday, when we go to work, we are taking breaks. We're looking around. We're giving our brain a rest. So make sure that every hour or two, you can get up and move around. Now, if you are a frontline worker and you can't get up and move around because you're busy on the front line, have ready memories. Remember a scent, remember something that you did that was really funny or lovely or loving, or remember something that someone did for you. That's what you hold in your heart.
So I'm like carrying around my little toolkit with memories that
Always.
when I need them,
Yeah.
I bring them up. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really great.
And
I have positive triggers.
What?
I'm a big fan of positive triggers.
Positive triggers.
Gotta have them.
Gotta have them. And having a rubber band around your wrist, that's easy. And all you do is when something negative comes up, a thought, snap the rubber band, you say stop it, and you go to that positive thought. And that is a reorganization in the brain.
It's retraining your brain.
Totally.
You are training. This is all about training.
Yeah.
It really is. So you're retraining your thought process, and that helps repattern your neural pathways so that your response becomes the positive response instead of the negative response eventually.
That's it. Exactly. Yep. If only I could teach Ziggy to snap a rubber band.
Well, we're going to work on that because I have some band snapping ideas for you, Edie.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, definitely. But I really appreciate. I read through some of your things, and I will dive into more because wonderful. You're a gift, an absolute gift, and I hope that everyone gets a chance to read at least some of your work, and if not, pause and watch her great videos because grief. Everyone's suffering from a little grief right now, even if they don't realize it.
Yes,
and that is going to affect your pet. You can't hide it. They can smell it.
They can smell it. Isn't that interesting? The sense of smell. Yeah. Yeah.
Edie, we love to give shout outs to rescue organizations on this show. And I know you've got one in mind.
Yes, North Shore Animal League here in Port Washington.
North Shore Animal League is one of the at least more well-known rescue organizations throughout the country. And how wonderful that they're right in your neighborhood.
They're in my hood. Yes. Yes. And they are actually in the process of building out and up and expanding their footprint so they can take in more animals and care for them.
Yeah.
They're growing their power.
They're growing their power.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, Edie, this show, as you know, is about gratitude and blessing. Is there somebody in your life, in the world today, who you want to extend some gratitude to?
So the other day I was standing in the shower and I started to cry because like just being thankful to having a home and having food on the table and having my animal and having my partner. And I guess it's just to spirit, to that which we cannot see that can protect us, and hoping that other people who are in need can get the kinds of protection and the food and the care that they need.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for that gift, Edie.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us. You've left me speechless. My heart is open. Yeah.
Good.
Well,
Thank you. This
much,
was really
Edie.
fun. Thank you for letting me have Ziggy on here. And this was such a wonderful time to share with all of you.
Yes.
Wow.
Mutual.
Thank you, Edie.
All right. Bye, my friend.
Bye.
Yeah.
Wow,
One of my heroes. Yeah.
that was powerful.
Yes. Oh, and Atlas is coming back already.
Yay!
Oh,
Snacks are gone.
here's my mom and dad coming on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Edie's got a new fan from my parents. Yesterday was my mom's birthday, and really happy to celebrate with you. And yeah.
Oh, happy birthday, Larry's mom.
Happy birthday, Mrs. K. That rhymes. That was cute.
Right.
Wow.
And then Bailey, it is great to see you again today. Hello to you.
See, she's got a new Facebook avatar. Very cute.
She does.
Yeah, that is great. And Yolanda is also saying a big thank you. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for joining us again, Yolanda. Always love seeing you. Well, Spider is doing really well.
Yeah.
While Geraldine and Edie were speaking, he heard his name. Now he's back. I actually refilled the goodie box with a goodie bag. And
Nice.
so he got it with it.
That tail.
Let's see. There we go. So he's working on that. He's still looking for more treats, but and you probably caught that right away as soon as somebody heard his name. He look where he's going. He knows where the treats are. Yeah. There you are, my friend. Yeah. Great. That's right, Atlas. That's the dog. Yeah. All right.
Say hi.
Yeah. Come on, Spider. Say hi to Atlas, buddy. Look at that. Yeah.
Look at
hello, Atlas.
Look
Good
at
job. Yeah. So,
So I'll jump in and talk about a little gratitude if it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that.
So-
But 1 second. I want to get Spider going with one
sure.
treat ball.
Sure.
He is very excited about that. You wait there, little buddy. Wait. Okay. There we go.
Perfect.
Okay. You've got some gratitude, it sounds like.
I do. And this is just there's a part of me that is attached to all of the people I've trained for, and their hearts. Our hearts are attached, and a lot of them have gone through grief in some fashion. And it's not ironic that many people, a dog or a cat shows up in their life when they're going through a rough time. So I'm grateful for Larry spending the time that he spent to go out and meet all of these guests that he has. It's taken him years to bring these special people together like Edie, Nathan, who touch people outside of pets that have grief and with pets both. But she, just the fact that bringing all of this together is so amazing. And to be able to share this on the Dog Hugs platform, I'm so grateful for this information. And I hope that if you're watching today, you share this with friends and help everyone understand that grief is okay. It's a normal part of our life, and we can pick it up and carry it with us and learn to adjust to our new normal, or what she had mentioned as what was the word? Robbie, what did Edie call it? She said the new
ordinary.
Yes, our new ordinary. I mean, and it's really important to feel that way, because we don't want to feel out of our ordinary. We want to have an ordinary. So this is our new ordinary, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. So thank you, Larry, for bringing wonderful people like Edie and like Robbie together to be able to share this great information that people may not have gotten a chance to find out without you.
Thank you for that blessing.
Thank you.
And also thanks from my parents.
And thank you for your parents for having you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here today. So thank you, Mr. and Mrs. K.
Oh, true.
Robbie, who would you love?
What I have to say is she talked about the hero's journey.
Yeah.
And as a fiction writer, I mean, that is one of the books everybody always reads. And the hero's journey really is shown in Star Wars with Luke Skywalker. I mean, that perfectly explains it. And like she said, the new normal. When I was going through breast cancer, everybody said, when you come out the other side, that's your new normal. I didn't want that to be my normal. So I really like the idea when she said it's your new ordinary, because, you want your life to go on and you don't want to think that, it's normal all the time with that. But I really like what she said with the new ordinary.
Well, I see Edie there nodding in the background, so I'm in the green room. So I'm going to bring her on screen here. Yeah, to join us.
Hi.
I just loved seeing you nodding there, and so I couldn't
help myself.
We're gonna make her cry again.
Yeah, you really impact the world, Edie. Thank you so much. My gratitude today goes to the mastermind. Ryder, you're already done with your house? My gratitude tomorrow goes to you, Geraldine, and also today. Good boy. It's a very powerful group of men who I get to meet with, and we do become emotionally. Thank you so much. You're doing great, buddy. And so that's my shout out today. All right, so tomorrow, come on, up you go, buddy. Tomorrow, thank you again, Edie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. We love you.
Tomorrow on the show, come on, buddy, give it a rest. You've done so well. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to be working in real time with Spider. This is no joke. This is really what we're going to be doing. And quiet. Shh. Yeah, you're doing. Shh, down. You look at how well he's doing. Very good, Spider.
Spider, I've got Atlas chatting in the background.
Yeah.
I have a stuffed animal.
So quiet.
All right.
So
Well,
quiet.
I think what we'll do right now is see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for being with us today. Big hug.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. See you tomorrow.